Hello everyone, I'm Holoshideim with more Trigon space story. This video will be part of a short series that will explore different aspects of the game. The goal is to provide detailed explanations for each topic, which can be useful for both new and experienced players. Each ship has a different amount of hull, and when it goes down to zero, the ship will explode, ending your run. Fortunately, we have systems to support and protect both our ship and its crew. Each ship has its own starting systems with different level of upgrades, but all the others can be purchased during the run. Let's analyze them. The shield generator is one of the most important systems. It creates a shield around the entire ship, absorbing enemy shots and protecting the hull against most enemy weapons. The plasma weapons, which are the most common ones, and the laser weapons, neutralizing them almost completely. The only exceptions are missiles and bombs, which can pierce shields and deal damage directly to the hull or the systems. As long as the shields are up, they will regenerate as they keep absorbing enemy shots. When the shields go down to zero, the hull will be exposed for a few seconds, then they will recharge up to 50% of their maximum value and continue to regenerate as before. Also, while the maximum hull will stay the same for the entirety of the run, the shields can be upgraded. Every level will increase their effectiveness by 10, making the first upgrades particularly effective. The shield generator is often one of the first systems that we want to upgrade. How much depends on many different factors, but usually up to level 3 or 4 will be ideal for the early part of the game. Even if it's a powerful system, each level gets progressively more expensive, and we want to use some of our credits to purchase or upgrade other systems as well. Also, just like any primary system, each level will require one of our reactor bars. The reactor provides energy to power up the systems of the ship. Upgraded systems will require more power, and so balancing the upgrades with the amount of available reactor is very important. The reactor power can be moved between systems, granting a lot of flexibility. Certain systems, like the shield generator, want to be fully powered during almost every fight. However, other systems have situational uses, and they can remain unpowered until needed, allowing us to allocate our reactor power somewhere else. Fully powering every single system can be convenient, but upgrading the reactor is very expensive. Usually, the best approach is to move that power around as effectively as you can, but finding the right balance between system and reactor upgrades can be quite challenging. The Hyperdrive is another defensive system. It provides evasion to the ship, and together with the shields, the evasion is another way to mitigate the damage taken. Each level of the Hyperdrive increases the evasion, but early upgrades are often not as beneficial since the reactor is quite expensive. Outside of providing evasion, the Hyperdrive is what allows us to jump to a new beacon. Making sure that we are always charging the Hyperdrive by keeping power in the system is very important. Escaping from bad fights can prevent a lot of damage or even save the entire run. This is particularly valuable when the beacon has dangerous hazards events. Solar storms in particular can be quite deadly, and we want to get out of there as soon as possible. In order to work, the Hyperdrive requires a functioning bridge manned by a crew member. The bridge, together with a few other systems, is one of the ship's subsystems. Subsystems don't require any reactor, even when upgraded, so they always provide their full benefit as long as the system is not damaged. With the first upgrade, the bridge will gain an autopilot, allowing the Hyperdrive to work without a pilot. This upgrade is particularly valuable if we don't have many crew members, since we can use them to man other systems and gain those benefits instead. The last upgrade instead increases the autopilot evasion by 10%, compensating for the missing pilot. The Armory Module allows us to install weapons to the ship. The amount of weapons that can be played depends on the ship itself, but most of them will have 4 available slots. This means that we can play up to 4 weapons at a time, but each one has to be powered with our reactor. Upgrading the Armory Module will increase the amount of reactor that we can assign to our weapons. This can allow us to play additional weapons, and more importantly, stronger weapons. Trigon has many types of weapons, but I'll talk more about them in another video. The primary function of the life support system is to provide oxygen to the entire ship. Each crew member consumes a certain amount of oxygen per second. Having multiple crew members in the same room could deplete the oxygen in there, and when that happens, they will begin to suffocate. This is rarely an issue, but it could be when we are sending multiple crew members in the same room to either repair or deal with enemy boarders. Opening your doors to balance the oxygen level with the rest of the ship mitigates the issue, and upgrading the life support system will also increase the oxygen production. The secondary function of the life support system is the production of supplies. Each crew member consumes a certain amount of supplies every single day, and that amount depends on the crew member's race. Upgrading the life support system will increase the amount of supplies produced every day, and that is very important to sustain large crews, especially if we have Rakis and humans. If we run out of supplies, the crew will lose some of their maximum health, and that will keep happening until they eat something or until they die. If they survive, they will get all their maximum health back, so there are no permanent downsides. With almost any ship, upgrading the life support system is one of the priorities. Starving from lack of supplies is only one of the many ways for the crew to be injured. They can also suffocate in rooms without oxygen, burn while the room is on fire, take direct hits from enemy weapons, being assaulted by enemy crew, and so on. If any of that happens and the crew survives, they will be able to restore their missing health by going into the medbay. Unless they're severely injured, it's often better to heal the crew at the end of each fight. This way we can keep our power in other systems and also mend them for additional benefits. Upgrading the medbay will increase the health recover per second. This is usually a marginal upgrade, but it can be nice when playing with a teleporter. The Airlock System allows us to remotely control every door inside our ship. Opening the external doors can be particularly valuable since we can take advantage of that to quickly vent our ship, removing oxygen from selected rooms. This is very useful to put out fires or to suffocate enemy boarders. The doors are reinforced and the enemies will have to damage them before moving into other rooms, delaying their advance as they slowly suffocate. With proper venting, we can kill enemy boarders without facing them with our own crew, but even weakening them is often enough. Upgrading the airlock systems will increase the durability of the doors. Stronger doors can delay boarders even further, but it's usually a marginal upgrade unless our ship is undermanned. The sensors grant vision to every room inside our ship, even if we don't have crew members in there. It provides a minor utility, but it's very useful when we need to locate fires, breaches, or even eventual boarders without having to move our crew across the ship. Also, being a subsystem, the sensors don't require any reactor, so we get its benefits with no downsides. With the first upgrade, the sensors will also grant vision inside the enemy ships. This information can be quite valuable to determine what kind of crew is in the enemy ship, especially if we want to kill them without destroying the ship. Doing so is particularly valuable if we manage to kill their captain while leaving the rest of the crew alive. When that happens, the others will surrender, and if we have a Cryochamber system, we can get them as prisoners. Acquiring this kind of kills is usually easier when boarding enemy ships with our own crew, and in this case, being able to see the rooms is even more valuable. The sensor's final upgrade will reveal the location of the stations in your current sector. We usually want to explore most of the sector anyway, but the information can be very useful if you are in desperate need of a station to either repair or upgrade our ship. Overall, upgrading sensors is not a priority, but it provides a cheap, situational utility. The Cryochamber system allows us to hibernate our crew or our prisoners. Hibernated crew members won't consume supplies, and that's extremely valuable if you have many Rakis or humans. We are not able to use hibernated crew, but we can defreeze them whenever we want by clicking on their portrait, even at the start of the fight. The crew will appear wherever they were when being frozen, so they can immediately man their respective system or be ready to board. The only downside of hibernating our crew is that we won't be able to use the Cryochamber to hold prisoners. Capturing prisoners is very valuable since we can turn them over at any station in exchange of credits or a reduction to our bounty. Every Cryochamber upgrade will increase the number of people that we can hibernate, going from 1 to a maximum of 3. Overall, the Cryochamber is a cheap, versatile system. It helps a lot in managing your supplies, or it can provide more credits as long as we are able to acquire prisoners. And since it's a subsystem, it doesn't require any reactor power. The teleporter allows us to send our crew into the enemy ship to either kill their crew or sabotage their systems. We can select any room in the enemy ship, and after a brief delay, the crew will be teleported there. As long as we have one reactor power in the teleporter, it will be ready to use at the start of every fight, but its cooldown will be longer if it's not upgraded. An upgraded teleporter adds a lot of safety. A shorter cooldown allows us to bring our crew back into our ship sooner in case they're taking too much damage from the enemy crew. If you're not careful, it's very easy to lose our boarders. After all, enemies will have an advantage, both in numbers and the fact that they can use their own medbay to heal injured crew. Overall, the teleporter is a very powerful system, but its effectiveness depends on other factors. First of all, we want to use weapons that can weaken enemy systems without dealing too much damage to the hull. If the enemy ship gets destroyed while our crew is in there, they will die as well. Another important factor is our crew. When playing with a teleporter, we want additional crew to man the systems, and eventually we might need to send other crew members into the enemy ship to help our first boarders. Rakis are often the best boarders. They have more health and they deal more damage in melee combat, making them the best fighters in most situations. However, any race can get a warrior specialization, which will unlock perks and abilities suited for fighting. There are many tricks that can make boarding very effective, but that's not the only use for the teleporter. The ability to warp crew back and forth can also be used on the enemies, teleporting them into our ship. It's a rare occurrence since the enemies will often leave the room before they can get teleported, but we can still take advantage of this behavior. It can reduce the enemy evasion by targeting their pilot, negate certain perks that require to be manning specific systems, prevents the use of powerful abilities, or even just delay the repairs of critical systems. The Stealth Module is a powerful defensive system for any kind of ship. Once used, it will drastically increase the ship evasion for up to 10 seconds, or until we fire our weapons. It can be used to dodge multiple shots at once, or wait until our shields are fully depleted, giving them time to recharge. Enemy weapons will still charge during the stealth, but the safety it provides is often enough to weaken their offense. The Stealth Module is particularly good against some enemy abilities. Some of these abilities can neutralize our evasion, and even if the stealth can directly counter that, we can use it to protect ourselves as we wait for the ability to expire. The Stealth Module can easily change the outcome of many fights, and it's a system that we want to purchase during all our runs. Just like the teleporter, the Stealth Module is available at the start of the fight with a single reactor power in it, but its cooldown is reduced once upgraded. The Drone Control Module allows you to deploy drones. Similarly to the Armory Module, the amount of drones that you can deploy will depend on the ship itself, but there will be 2 for most of them. Upgrading the Drone Control Module, instead, will increase the amount of reactor that you can allocate in the system. Each drone will require a single reactor power, but it will consume a drone replicant, a resource that you can find or buy similarly to supplies and fuel. There are many different drones, but in general, they are either offensive or defensive drones. Defensive drones can stop enemy shots, and they are particularly good against missiles or other single-shot weapons. Defensive drones have a short recharge time before they can fire again, and stronger drones will be able to fire more often. Offensive drones, once deployed, will automatically attack enemy ships. They will target random areas of the ship, and similarly to defense drones, there will be a brief delay between shots and stronger drones will fire more often. This is all for this video about the ship and its systems. I'll talk about the crew, the race and their specialization in my next video. Remember to subscribe to this channel for more videos and updates about Trigon. Then check the links in the description to find the game in the Epic and Steam stores. And you can find more about me at twitch.tv/Holoshideim.